Hi, my name is Zach Stickle, and I'm here to start off our presentation on fracking. I'm just going to start with a little background information. The actual process of fracking involves a well, the drilling into the ground with a protective case, and they use horizontal technique to reach the shale deposit. Pressurized fluids fracture the rock, and sand lodges in the cracks, holding it open for natural gas to step into them and rise through the pipe to the surface. Polluted fluids also rise to the surface and are piped to wastewater pits. The general purpose of doing this is to extract the natural gas so we can use it. Hydraulic fracturing has been going on for about 50 years, but it really started to boom when they incorporated horizontal drilling technique. So a few things that have to deal with fracking are the environment, economics, political, and social impacts. And I guess I'll start off with the political aspects of it. There's been an ongoing debate with hydraulic fracking because it involves not only economic reasons, but like I said, the social aspect of it, and it could be harmful to the environment. So in a lot of local places, they have to figure out how to create a public policy. And a few things that go into creating the public policy are laws, regulations, incentives, and practices that they will use. The end goal is to extract the natural gas and at the same time protect the well-being of the entire community. The fear with fracking is that these companies are kind of working in a Wild West type environment where they're doing it for more of raising money than they are for taking care of the environment, and that's one of the reasons that it's such a political debate. We'll move on to our next presenter.
Alright, I'm here to talk about the economic aspect of fracking, and overall when you look at it, economically fracking is pretty good for Pennsylvania. There's enough Marcellus Shale formation in Pennsylvania to serve and sustain Pennsylvania's need, but also to export it and become a great exporter of it and to generate significant economic benefits. And another economic aspect is jobs. So according to the statistics from Pennsylvania's Department of Labor and Industry, more than 72,000 gas and oil jobs have been produced from the increase of fracking since 2009, which is a significant amount. Also, lawmakers in PA debate the merits and drawbacks of drilling in PA, but a major up every time is usually the economic aspect, the economic opportunities that fracking could bring. Another statistic out there about how it's economically good is between 2007 and 2011, per capita income rose by 19% in PA counties with more than 200 wells. It rose by 14% in counties with between 20 and 200 wells, and by 12% in counties with fewer than 20 wells. So if you look at the statistics, you can tell that fracking in PA it's economically good. It creates jobs, it creates revenue, and everything like that. And another thing, PA would be able to provide itself with the natural gas that it would need to sustain, and we could also export it to create revenue. And now I'm going to bring us our next speaker.
I'm here to talk about the environmental impact of Marcellus Shale and fracking. Fracking is causing pollution problems in PA. Leaks of drilling fluid and other contaminants from well casings is the first potential source of pollution. Research has found many hazardous chemicals and compounds in the groundwater. Those include arsenic, chloride, barium, and radium, a radioactive element loosened during the fracking process. Scientists have pushed for the use of tracing fluids by the industry. These fluids would be used to track fracking fluids throughout the region's water system. The industry has been unwilling to use them, however. The second source is the millions of gallons of wastewater produced during fracking. Duke University conducted a study that shows some shale wastewater pours directly into water sources going from Pittsburgh and other cities. They were uncertain of the health consequences, though.
I'm going to tackle some of the social aspects, and then we're going to finish up with some solutions of fracking. First off, traffic accidents as a result of fracking. They've caused civic disturbances as well as public health problems in Pennsylvania counties. It's also increased since the shale rush started in 2005. That's still going on today. This comes from toxic chemical extractions, which also plays a huge role in the pollution in our water sources. These social and public health costs have increased more in rural counties. So the more rural, the more prone they are to have these pollutions, things of that nature. The negative social impacts were especially pronounced in the counties with the highest density of shale gas wells. So the higher the density, the greater amount of concern. So areas that are more rural are more prone to stuff like this. Pennsylvania has also been the epicenter of the nation's fracking boom. They nearly have 5,000 gas wells that have been drilled from 2005 to 2011, and that's still going on today. The fracking boom has brought in a lot of heavy trucks. It's crowding rural roads and out-of-state workers, and it's flooding small towns, often overwhelming local housing, police, and public health capacities. So the local housing is being disrupted. I know that a couple government subsidy programs, they'll actually come in and offer money for the landowners where the shale gas is present. A lot of people are not for that, but they also take the subsidy and use their land. So as we can see from these aspects in the social sense, fracking is dangerous. It causes pollution to the water and land that we live on, the water that we drink, the environment in which we use our resources from. It's also very costly to citizens. That goes by creating new roads where they shouldn't be, where natural resources could be prone to be used. And it's also done in an unsustainable way. A lot of the new technology that's coming out has a huge focus on making fracking a sustainable thing because of the Marcellus Shale and because of how much resources in that shale play. We're going to move on now, and I'm going to talk about some of the solutions that have come about with fracking. This is coming from Earth Justice. It's a site in Pennsylvania. 7 municipalities went to overturn a portion of law that sought to strip communities of their right to use local zoning laws to limit oil and gas development. Pennsylvania then went on to approve the lawsuit, giving the oil and gas industry a huge defeat. So people actually take into a fact that their land is being used, and it's being used unsustainably. So they reached out to these companies and posed a lawsuit that was basically for the purpose of saying, hey, you can't come in here, you can't take my resources, and you can't ruin my land. So that's one way of doing it. One way of doing it is just the legal aspect against these companies. Another solution would be to, you can pose the legal cases to limit fracking. New technologies and things of that nature have come about, but they're not necessarily heavily focused on as much because of the amount of money that these industries are making. You can also form environmental groups. That way, when these environmental groups come in, that's what causes these lawsuits. So with the uprise in environmental groups that do this, that might limit the amount of fracking that will be done and the amount of resources that are going to be used. Also, one thing that they could do is they could pull resources and gas from a separate entity. So a lot of fracking companies can do subsea operations in which you can extract these resources, natural gas and water, from underground, which would be also in subsea, so you could do it underwater. But those are some of the social impacts as well as the solutions to fracking.